welcome back to the I Heart Mess YouTube channel. I'm Emily Kirkpatrick, a professional fashion writer and a curator of sartorial chaos. Thanks to everyone who tuned into my live stream commentary of the Met Gala red carpet. I had a lot of fun and I would love to do it again, so let me know if there's any content you think would be interesting to watch together. Today we're going to be taking a look at some of the most troubling trends in attire from the month of April, as well as doing a much requested Coachella 2025 style recap. So without further ado, let's dive straight in. Economics aside, this month there have been three pop culture phenomena that, to me, have been the strongest indicators I've seen yet that we are well and truly headed into a recession. For starters, Coachella ushered in the return of a good old-fashioned American satanic panic. Right on time, given our current Christo-fascist government and the launch of their anti-Christian bias task force. Personally, I love when this nation rediscovers its puritanical roots and starts interpolating Satan into the same old pop star visuals we've all been looking at for the last 60-odd years. It's got a real crucible energy to it. But of course, blaming witchcraft or fallen angels is certainly easier than having to grapple with the realities of why everything is actually going to shit right now. The impetus behind this evangelical backlash was Lady Gaga's Coachella performance, which makes me wonder where all of these people have been for the entirety of her career thus far. Because she's been doing this. I mean, this is a woman who started bleeding profusely on stage at the 2009 VMAs and had performance artist Millie Brown throw up on her in front of a crowd of people. The time for satanic panic has long since passed. If anything, we're in Gaga's wholesome era at this point. I mean, she's doing migraine commercials now, for Christ's sake.
Nothing dims my light like a migraine. With Nurtec ODT, I found relief.
Another sign of the times is Kylie Jenner promoting her alcoholic seltzer brand that I've never actually seen anyone drinking in this latex mini dress. For me, there's no bigger, clearer fashion recession indicator than a member of this family baby powdering themselves back into this very specific garment. I just assumed Kim had locked all the latex away in her wardrobe archives for North to wear to her 18th birthday party. This dress is a relic of such a specific, easy-fied era of Kar-Jenner supremacy, an entirely different era of body shape even. And while I know that this family is all about constructing and reifying their own fame iconography, this is a reference I think these gals would be a little more wary of evoking, considering not only the Kanye of it all, but also the fact that it feels extremely dated. And up until now, much of their fame has been built on pushing trend cycles forward. If they fail to evolve, they risk being drowned in an ocean of Instagram clones of their own creation. Perhaps they think reverting to the fashions from the height of their popularity might help restore some of that cultural hegemony as well. But I'm afraid that era of their fame is firmly behind us. There's no going back now. And the indie sleeves revival has finally circled back around to inscrutable slogan tees, a style pretty much synonymous in my mind with Urban Outfitters during the height of the 2008 financial crisis. Actor Chloe Cherry wore a t-shirt that read "My boyfriend is in town," while musician Biba Doobie's top proclaimed "My boyfriend went to Eden." In true Y2K fashion, I have no idea what either of those statements about their significant others is supposed to mean to me. And frankly, I don't want to know. That's the mystique of the mass-produced graphic tee. You just have to let the slogans wash over you like Simlish. Think of it as the Oulipo poetry of Hot Topic. I am, however, still patiently waiting for the return of the Jesus is my homeboy t-shirt. Are we having a satanic panic out there or not? Of course, one of the reasons we currently find ourselves on the precipice of great financial uncertainty is that we're currently surrounded by the richest people in the history of the planet who still can't quite seem to get enough money. And this month, I thought a handful of such 0.01%ers were exhibiting some particularly out of touch bad behavior. At the end of March, in a Q&A with Interview magazine, former Vanity Fair editor-in-chief Graydon Carter called Meghan Markle the Undine Spragg of Montecito, an incredibly niche literary bon mot comparing the Duchess to a character from Edith Wharton's The Custom of the Country, who, as Wikipedia puts it, attempts to ascend the social ladder through ruthlessness, seduction, vanity, and manipulation. And that was before Meghan even launched her new As Ever brand this month, which I find to be a deeply confused attempt to leverage name recognition for profit. Almost as confused as the brand seems to be about who its target audience is. In the first image promoting her new line of pantry goods, we see the Duchess's hand drizzling some of this artisanal honey while wearing a pinky ring adorned with a diamond larger than the vast majority of people's engagement rings. Who is the aspirational customer she's angling for? Because that styling choice feels like a very Goopian, outrage bait move. And yet at the same time, she's posting these screeds about her raspberry jam and its keepsake packaging chosen specifically so people can reuse the jars to to, quote, tuck away love notes and special treasures, use it as a small bud vase for flowers on your nightstand, or to hold the pens on your desk. And I'm sorry, but first of all, I am not going to take DIY home decor advice from someone who lives in a $14 million, 9-bedroom, 16-bathroom mansion. Besides, I would argue Bon Maman already offers this exact opportunity in a nicer jar at a fraction of the cost. Circling back to the sprag of it all, something else that rubbed me the wrong way about this as ever launch is that Meghan did an interview with the New York Times where she proclaimed that she needs to work. Nay, she loves to work. To which I say, okay then, get a real job. Why do the rich and famous always make their need to stay busy a problem the rest of us have to solve? Why do I have to spend my hard-earned money to buy white label foodstuffs so that someone worth $60 million can feel a sense of purpose in their life? How did I get involved in this scenario at all? This sounds like a problem for a corporate partnership to solve. Better yet, go build an elementary school, learn a new language, become a consultant. I just feel that how a member of the British royal family fills their days and garners attention and pocket change for themselves should literally never involve a member of the general public dipping into their own wallet. If you're a regular consumer of my content, I don't need to spell it out for you why a bunch of famous ladies orbiting the planet for 11 minutes was not a cool or interesting publicity stunt. Personally, I had to tap out after learning that Katy Perry sang What a Wonderful World to her fellow Amazon-sponsored adventurers. Please know that if I was aboard that vessel and someone tried to inflict a cappella upon me, emergency exit latches would be pulled. However, there was one aspect of this pointless space jaunt that almost made all the carbon emissions worth it, and that was the utterly flabbergasted and defensive responses from these A-list cosmonauts when their ascent to the upper stratosphere wasn't met with rapturous applause. This has led to some spectacular sound bites, such as Katie saying,
"We weren't just taking up space, we were making space for the future,"
and Gayle King indignantly inquiring,
have y'all been to space? Have you been to space? Go to space or go to Blue Origin and see what they do and how they do, and then come back and say, this is a terrible thing.
well, she got us all there. Imagine being so rich you can't even imagine why people who can't afford eggs and medicine might not think you LARPing as an astronaut for a couple minutes was super important. Also, I can't help but feel that Katy Perry has a saboteur in her ranks, because mere days after facing blowback for being generally annoying and self-promotional in space, Katy announced the release of this $175 off-brand Barbie based on a Las Vegas residency from 2 years ago. Like, read the room! And if you're gonna be so shameless about post-orbit merch sales, at the very least put the doll in an astronaut suit and lean in. Katie's bestie and fellow pseudo-astronaut Lauren Sanchez called the paparazzi on herself this month to document this very boring outfit for some reason. I presume so she could show off her new overpriced handbag, and I'd just like to say there's nothing cute or kitschy to me about one of the richest women on earth carrying a $6,000 Balenciaga clutch shaped like a to-go coffee mug. I think all this achieves is underscoring the 0.01% extreme disconnect from reality, and not even in a fun or creative way. Like, if this is the high-low gimmick you're going for, why not bedazzle a paper cup in real diamonds? Fill this leather handbag with your actual morning cup of joe. Channel your inner Marie Antoinette and embrace the gratuitous, wasteful consumption of it all to the max. For Demna, the former creative director of Balenciaga and current creative director of Gucci, much of his work is about the illusion of good taste and the socio-economic prank that is the concept of luxury. The subversive appeal of this accessory is that it's a quotidian object pilfered from the everyman and turned into this inaccessible, yet also completely indistinguishable high-end object. So when the wealthy wearer carries it in such a sincere, unironic fashion as Lauren does here, the campiness of the bag is neutralized, and there's nothing more gauche and tacky than a billionaire who doesn't get the joke being made at their expense. I previously warned you of a new trend sweeping the nation featuring grown women wearing various infantilizing fashions, and now I'm back with even more evidence to bolster my case that the adult baby really is happening. Now I know what Christina Aguilera is wearing is technically just a white thong, but when worn atop these opaque leggings, does it not look a little bit like a sexy diaper? Two words I never thought I'd say together, but there you are. Comedian Sabrina Wu ditched the bottom half of their tux at the Murderbot premiere, choosing instead to finish off their tailcoat with a pair of silky white bloomers and sock garters, channeling spring's Victorian underpinnings trend. Elsa Hosk modeled a corporate Miu Miu panty, while Kesha had a glam showgirl take on a Daisy Duke designed for a toddler. Sierra likewise performed at Coachella with Megan Thee Stallion in a heavily ruffled jean nappy situation. While I do like the dimension it adds to this outfit, these layers upon layers of soft, undulating frayed denim do nothing to flatter the pelvic region. Elsewhere at Coachella, I noticed a microtrend that actually fuses together adult babies with another look I've talked about at length in my newsletter. Stars like Alex Earl, Tyla, Jenny, and Biba Doobie stacked up belts on belts to cover up their nether regions, leading to a festival full of bondage babies. I like the sort of homemade crust punk aesthetic of these bottoms. They remind me of those 90s skirts made out of neckties but with a Zana Bane twist. And thanks to Ari Lennox at the Billboard Women in Music event, we've now been introduced to a whole new take on the adult diaper trend, Detective Baby Pampers Undercover, which now that I've said that out loud actually wouldn't be such a bad addition to the Boss Baby franchise. By far the biggest trend of Coachella this year was steampunk. This year's look was a sharp departure from the boho flower child aesthetics of the past, favoring a more Mad Max element, and taking some clear style cues from its fellow desert-based Bacchanal Burning Man. Travis Scott skulked about the property in full apocalyptic football padding, custom designed by Chrome Hearts. Who else? Trav paired this rifle recoil padding made for a Hell's Angel with a leather jort, a Nike sweatband, and a singular black elbow pad. And all I have to say about that is I simply love the drag of hypermasculinity. You can tell that this man thinks of himself as a gladiator headed into battle every night on stage, with only a bottle of his own Don Julio by Cactus Jack tequila collaboration to protect him. The look is a potent mix of vague athletic equipment, saddlery, and punk rock. So brave, so virile. Lori Harvey and Teyana Taylor both wore Prada Spring 2025 sunglass headscarves to Neon Carnival, and rapper JT posted images of herself wearing one on Instagram that same week as well. I feel like this accessory speaks to what I was trying to articulate with my Harriet the Spy trend earlier this year. There's something so futuristic and modern about streamlining a look by merging two accessories in this way. It's very 60s retro-futurist, like something Barbarella might put on before exploring a new planet. As I said, Coachella was heavily Burning Man inspired, but no one belonged on that playa more than T-Pain, who was appropriately attired for the end of days. The full steampunk regalia communicates to me that this is a time traveler who's both a tinkerer and a scholar, but isn't afraid to kick some serious ass should interdimensional battle come a knockin'. The look feels very Wild Wild West the movie inspired. But just because you can dress like Will Smith circa 1999 doesn't mean that you should, as I fear making a top hat and goggles festooned with gold chains look nonchalant is a feat only T-Pain is cool enough to actually pull off, to say nothing of the plaid power clashing going on here. Another steampunk diva in attendance was Julia Fox, who got her entire ass out for the Revolve party. This look seemed to follow a very similar formula to the one we saw her execute at the Grammys to lackluster response, once again layering sheer hosiery atop a fully visible thong. At the Grammys, this styling choice sabotaged the attention-generating gimmick that was her crucifix thong, and here it adds a layer of sweatiness and synthetic sheen that seems like a true sensory nightmare in this desert climate. Not to mention it adds nothing to the overall effect of this outfit. To make things more convoluted, Julia then accessorized this ensemble with a leather monk's cowl and a pair of corseted shorty chaps that remind me of those leg braces they used to put on kids with polio. At the very least, they certainly provided a unique framework for posterior display. Another thrilling update I have to share with you all from Coachella is that butt billboards are so back, baby. At a surprise guest appearance during Arca's Weekend 1 set, Addison Rae announced her album release date by plastering it across the seat of her neon pink underwear, which she wore beneath a totally sheer, very boho Chloe dress, channeling the original flower crown spirit of this festival. In February, I pointed out in my newsletter that Bella Hadid was shockingly the first celeb this decade to dabble in the classic aughts rear end as ad space phenomenon, and it seems Addison has now picked up where the supermodel left off. Hardly a surprise, as the pop star has proven time and time again that no one has studied the ancient Us Weekly sacred texts more closely than she. And as a millennial, I just have to say that there's something so nice about the fact that no matter what decade it is, no matter what the event is celebrating or what the weather is like outside, Rachel Zoe is going to be there wearing a furry coat shrugged off her shoulders and the widest leg pants imaginable. And I think that's beautiful. This is my equivalent of a red carpet comfort meal. Since reaching the high highs of full frontal nudity on the Grammys red carpet the other month, my interest in such gratuitous displays of flesh has rapidly waned. I'm ready to move on. Fashion is eternally on the hunt for what's new now and next, and model Guecha Tondreau's American flag bikini formal wear at the Fashion Trust Awards is tragically not it. Although around March of last year, after seeing Kristen Stewart walk the step and repeat in little more than a Speedo, I did predict that a black tie two-piece couldn't be too far behind, and now here we are. I also do think this is a very appropriate ensemble for someone attending an event as the date of photographer David LaChapelle, and I was also charmed to learn that it's the same custom bikini Gisele Bündchen wore wore on the cover of George magazine. But at this point, I'm far more interested in seeing a dude show up at an event dressed in this manner than seeing my upteen scantily clad model. But my favorite part about this outfit has to be the choice in handbag. I love swimwear paired with a very sedate purse, tailor-made for the C-suite, yet definitely purchased at TJ Maxx. At first I thought just because of the way she's holding it that this must be some sponsored plug they had to squeeze in there. But after looking up what the bag is, never mind. I fully believe this is Guetcha's personal Zac by Zac boson purse she's owned for years, and that just makes me love this styling choice even more. Speaking of men showing up to formal events in their skivvies, I absolutely love Jeremy Scott's outfit for this event. It was very reminiscent of Sabrina's earlier, a sexy, novel silhouette that demonstrates to all those boring tuxedo-clad A-list dudes out there exactly how to have fun with their black tie attire. It's very Chippendales-esque. It's a Magic Mike tearaway costume before busting a move on a bachelorette party. It reminds me of when Marc Jacobs showed up to the Met Gala in that Comme des Garçons lace dress, tighty-whities, and pilgrim loafers, as I feel like it reveals all the potential avenues of menswear greatness left woefully unexplored because guys refuse to get just a little bit freakier with it. I need all the beefcakes out there to invest in a pair of riding boots and silk tap shorts expeditiously. And this is just to say that Ann Crawford, a founding board member of Fashion Trust US, is the only person at that event who absolutely nailed the assignment of dressing for the current apocalyptic climate in this country. This feels incredibly of the moment to me. There is something about this gown that is both appropriately sinister yet utterly glam in a way I've yet to see anyone embody quite as well. It's like they managed to capture the plume of petrochemicals over Ohio in a garment. Perfection. Now this is a rare moment of mess where I have nothing but the highest of praise to heap upon an ensemble. This is exactly the level of precision tailoring I wanted to see at the Met on the first Monday in May. I think because Alexander Skarsgård is a bona fide hunk, people forget that he actually has a pretty great sense of humor and has applied that to his red carpet fashion to great success in the past. In fact, he previously wore Sabrina's exact pantsless getup to the 2016 MTV Movie Awards. There's something very ministerial about the silhouette of this Calvin Klein collection overcoat, very conclave. Perhaps Alex is trying to communicate to us that he has some big Vatican ambitions of his own. But beyond looking superb, I'm also excited about this attire because it feels like this could finally be the key that unlocks a whole new world to adventurous masculine dressing. This is the menswear gateway drug to business casual dresses. I had to bring this photo of Irina Shayk to everyone's attention exclusively so I can alert you all to the fact that I am obsessed with the model's Metropolitan water shoes. There's something about these neoprene slippers that look so cool and like the perfect shoe for spring to summer dressing, especially when it involves clomping around these filthy rain-soaked city streets. There's a sleek, pared-down practicality to these sporty ballet flats that feels futuristic and modern in a non-Cybertruck kind of way, which I think is exactly what fashion needs right now. I'm so inspired by this little styling quirk, I'm going to be purchasing a pair of water shoes of my very own. Please let me know if you plan on joining me in this wet and wild summer trend. We're now going to take a look at a reader-submitted ensemble that I was completely blown away by. I do not know who this influencer is, I do not know who designed these trousers, but I am deeply taken with their stiff geometry and extreme proportions. Just when I thought we'd completely exhausted the pannier trend, along comes these jeans that are twice as wide as they are deep. From what I can tell from this clip, the way these pants operate is that within this bucket of a structured waistband, there's an even smaller waistband that buckles around the wearer's true waist, with a flap of fabric connecting the two layers so that you don't have to fear anything tumbling in from above. Thank God for that, because just imagine the crumb catchers these would turn into after one flaky croissant. The silhouette is reminiscent of those clown pants that come with a built-in hula hoop waist or a Jenny Craig before and after ad, like when Emily Ratajkowski decided to show off how skinny she is by posing in a single leg of a large pair of jeans. As with the build-a-body trend at large, this feels like another fashion moment born in response to our current Ozempic culture. Now that all real bodily curves have been eradicated, we are artificially adding them back again via this type of structured clothing. Troubling roots of this aesthetic aside, perhaps I've been brainwashed by a full year of seeing this type of double-wide 18th century garb, but I have to say, I think these jeans kind of look good. It's like another take on Jonathan Anderson's slightly off paper doll designs. Speaking of building fictional expansive bodies, Erykah Badu took this trend to its logical extreme in this plush, curvaceous costume she wore to perform at the Billboard Women in Music event. Despite the ample proportions of this bodysuit, it doesn't feel as dystopian to me as some of these other silhouette-enhancing outfits. Instead, there's something almost Neolithic about this garment, a pure celebration of Venus of Willendorf-shaped bodies. Erykah has sculpted a physique worthy of our religious devotion, although a part of of me also wonders if attire like this would be quite so sensational and statement making if we ever actually saw real plus-size bodies that look like this on screen and incorporated into the Hollywood mainstream. First, we had orcas inexplicably wearing salmons as hats. Then, a caterpillar that wears a fat stack of its own exoskeletons as a fascinator. And now a brand new chic animal accessory just dropped. Allow me to introduce you to this very fabulous crab wearing a sea anemone like a silly little chef's hat. A joyously flamboyant touch that once again forces me to ask why humans are the only species on this planet failing so spectacularly at chic ornamentation. Okay, that's all the pressing opinions I've saved up for you from the month of April. If you are intrigued or repulsed by what you saw here today, I highly recommend you like, subscribe, sign up for a membership, and alert everyone in your immediate vicinity to this wonderful new YouTube channel called I Heart Mess. If you want even more of my nonsense, you can always sign up for my weekly Substack newsletter at iheartmess.com. The link will be in the caption below. I'll see you back here next month with even more salient thoughts and ludicrous apparel. Until then, bye!